Good morning. How are you this morning? Aren't these beautiful? I last week I had some problems with my internet, so it wasn't so easy for us to get on and do our live on YouTube. This morning, I wanted to talk to you about something very important. And do you see this plant? See all the way down to the root how long it is? You know how much of this was underneath the ground? Say from right about there was all that underneath the ground. There's a lot of things that we can learn from planting. And this morning, just to give you an idea of what I'm doing, I am in the process of getting some nice big plants that I can plant in my garden. And instead of doing it the easy way, which is to go out and buy a plant that's already ready, what I'm doing is I bought a little package of seeds. And instead of buying the potting soil from the store, I'm making my own. Now, this first year is a lot of learning process going on here. There's a mixture of clay, topsoil, organic materials that I found on the property that where we live. The organic materials just come from leaves that have been there on the forest floor for a while, and little pieces of wood, and it's not as much organic material as I would like because I haven't got my compost going yet. Because I need a specific place that I'm going to work on that, and I think I have an idea where I'm going to do it now. But here we have a dirt. Some of this is topsoil that I scraped from the surface of the ground underneath the trees in a forest. So it's got a lot of organic in there. The dirt around here is very sandy, so I have mixed a little bit of clay in. You have to be careful because too much sand and clay together without the organic stuff, as far as I have been able to see so far, makes it hard. And like when it rains, the crust gets really hard. So you need to make sure that if you're doing this, make sure you mix a lot of organic stuff into the dirt, and also you put a layer of organic compost or leaves or something over the top of the surface of the ground so that when it rains, it doesn't dry out the way it would otherwise. So some weeks ago, I took these old egg cartons and I just put some seeds down in them, and I was taking care of them in my house. But now they've outgrown the space that their roots have. You saw how deep that root was. That was a weed that I showed you. But the roots need a lot of space. And so what I'm doing here is I'm expanding their capacity to grow. Because if the roots don't have enough space, then the plant can't grow sufficient. And I want big, strong plants. So this is what I'm doing. And honestly, the package of seeds cost me, I invested in some good seeds. So it cost me about $3 for a package. And there was a good number of seeds. I planted all of them. Not all of them survived the first step. But if you go to the store and you want to purchase 6-pack of plants, the cheapest that it would be that I've found around here would be like $3.98 a 6-pack. So if I get more than 6 plants, I will have saved money. So what you do is you make a hole in the dirt and you stick it in, and then you fill up the dirt around, because this right here is, this specific plant is a tomato plant, okay? And it is, tomato plant is very interesting plant, because if the stem comes in contact with dirt, it produces roots. And so the deeper you can place that plant into dirt, the stronger the root system will be. And of course, if my roots are really strong, then my stem and my stalk and my leaves and my ability to produce are very strong. So you saw that tall plant, and what did I do? I put it down to about like that much out of the dirt and pressed it down. Now I'm gonna fill this whole thing up, and probably have to do another one because I have 2 trays just like that right there. Aren't they beautiful? Now all of that you see, and this one right here is not going very far. So we also have to take the plants that aren't very very strong. I wanted to show you this. You see this on the end of my finger? That right there, compare it with the size of my finger. That's the seed after it's been soaked. So just imagine, you've seen a tomato seed, how small they are. And all of this came out of that. But if you haven't seen, take a look and you will find that there are plants, tomato plants, that are called indeterminate, and that means that they don't stop growing. They just keep growing and growing longer and longer. And I didn't know that, but one time I was at a greenhouse where the guy had this system rigged where these indeterminate tomato plants, he would have this little string that would encourage it to just stand up, and he would keep tightening it as needed. And by the time I saw it, the plants had grown up, I'd say probably 10 feet, maybe more, maybe 12. And they were starting to then come back down. And the plant just grew and grew. So it was at least 15 feet by the time I saw what was happening with these plants. But he rigged it so that they weren't crawling all over the ground. So some plants are called determinate, and that means that they grow so tall and no more. And I don't even know why I'm talking about all this plant stuff. I'm not really a professional. I just find that there are some things about planting that are very, very important for our health, mental health, spiritual health, and even physical health. Because, when we're talking about habits are like weeds. And if I have something that I started doing and it's a little teeny tiny weed like this, I can pull it up and it comes up with the roots and everything, and I can get rid of it. But if I wait until the weed is stronger than the plant, what happens? I have a lot harder time overcoming. So that's physical health. But what about my spiritual health? There is this parable in the Bible where Jesus says, he talks about this sower, and a sower is someone that goes and plants seeds. He said that the sower went forth to sow, and he sowed in these different kinds of ground. Well, he explains to his disciples afterward that these kinds of ground are are the different kinds of hearts that listen to the message. And we have an opportunity to permit God to make our hearts like the good ground. And we have the opportunity to choose which kind of ground we want to be. And, you know, Jesus he taught in parables for a number of reasons. First and foremost, it was something that people could understand. I mean, even in our society where people think that only poor people plant, or they want everything done by machine, they don't really put their hands in the dirt like I do. Oh, there's nothing better, than getting your hands into the dirt and feeling all of those wonderful things that God has put together, where he proves what he said in his word about all things work together for good for them that love the Lord. Because what is organic material? It's death. It's dead plants. It's dead pieces of plants. And if I don't have that in my dirt is dead. It does not have the nutrients that it needs to reproduce, and that's a really sad fact. But Jesus also said, if somewhere in the Bible, I don't remember if it was Jesus' exact words, but it says if a grain of wheat, some places say corn, fall into the ground and die, it brings forth much fruit. And if the seed is saved and kept so that I can grind it up and make it into bread, it's one seed. But if that seed is placed in the right situation, then it can become lots of seeds. And so there's a lot of little lessons that we can learn from dirt, from seeds, from plants. You see how small and as needing of care are these plants. They're tiny. But if I take care of them and I water them and I give them the right nutrients and the Lord blesses my efforts, what happens is that seed can become big plant, and it can withstand a lot more, and it's able to handle the sun and the wind, and the Lord sends his little wonderful insects that will help with the process. Then it will become a plant that produces fruit. And there's lots of things that we can do with the fruit that comes off a tomato plant, right, Timothy? What do you like to make out of the tomato plant?
Tomato sauce.
Tomato sauce? Only that?
I don't know.
Do you like to make salad with tomato? Mm-hmm. What else?
I don't know.
Come here. Say hi.
Hi.
Just so that you know who's talking. So just like, all of this process, it seems like, well, it's so much easier to just go buy a plant. But there's so many lessons that we can learn from the process, that we're counseled to get involved in the process and see how the Lord works and how the Holy Spirit can talk to us and teach us as we're messing with dirt. And you might say, well, I don't have a piece of land. I don't have space. That's okay. Where there's a will, there's a way. And you have space for a little pot if you want. I mean, you can get a pot like this.
No, there's still.
Timothy's going to put it on ground for you. You can get a pot like this and get that set up, and you can start. This pot is big enough for a tomato plant. You know, the one that's making tomatoes. Go ahead and set it down on the ground. Go ahead. Thank you. So there is a way for you to be involved in this process and see the miracle of germination. Kind of sounds like justification, doesn't it? And the process that the plant goes through to set out its leaves, and then the sun of righteousness. Oh, I'm sorry, the sun and the wind. Believe it or not, the air is so important. The plants need carbon dioxide. They get it from the air. So we have sunshine, we have air, we have water, we have light and dark. So there's rest there. And you said, well, but they don't do exercise, do they? Well, yeah. Transforming all of these nutrients into more cells, and their exercise is different than ours, but they develop through contact with the agencies that God has given. And so I'd like to encourage you to get your hands dirty and check out the dirty side of health in this situation. Because, you know, when we're in contact with dirt and plants and this process, it's a de-stressor. It can help you to be calm. It can help you to spend less at the grocery store. And that's an awesome thing too. So I just want to encourage you to get involved in the process that God has ordained for us to have wonderful things to eat. May God bless you and have a wonderful day.